Margaret Heffernan, ABiggerPrize, How We Can Do Better Than the Competition. Embark on an insightful journey as we explore A Bigger Prize, where author Margaret Heffernan dissects the impact of competition on our lives. With examples from various fields such as sports, education, economy, and relationships, Heffernan demonstrates that a culture driven by competition has pervasive downsides. Peek into the world of overworked individuals, corrupted economies, and strained relationships as we examine whether our competitive urges truly bring out the best in us, or rather cause more harm than good. Learn about various alternatives to competition, fostering healthier approaches to personal success and collaborative efforts.
The cost of relentless competition. Becoming a star athlete takes hard work, talent, and competitive spirit. However, viewing life as a competition can lead to disappointment, as few attain top positions in sports or the societal hierarchy. This hyper-competitive mindset can also cause stress, burnout, and lead to people taking reckless risks or avoiding beneficial activities that they believe they can't win. Norbert Triplett, a psychologist from the late 1800s, discovered that competition can boost performance, like in the case of cyclists who race faster in competitions compared to practice. Nonetheless, life isn't a perpetual contest. If we approach it this way, the majority will end up disheartened, given that a small percentage of people attain victories or dominant status. Take, for example, the London Olympic Games, where only 8.8% of participants walked away with a medal. Similarly, the economic elite only represent a tiny fraction of society. Regardless of the effort exerted, the harsh reality is that most competitors lose. Moreover, perceiving life through the lens of competition can be mentally and physically harmful. The never-ending quest to be the best can lead to stress and burnout, especially if we avoid relying on others who are seen as rivals. Consequently, we may overburden ourselves and sacrifice healthy rest. Highly competitive individuals may adopt extreme measures, putting themselves at risk. A case in point, wrestlers engaging in high-intensity training while wearing rubber suits to reach their weight class. This intense sweating can result in fatal heat strokes. Lastly, the competitive mindset may dissuade us from participating in activities that offer undeniable benefits. When the focus is solely on winning or believing we can't win, crucial opportunities may be missed. Participating in sports or other endeavors for personal growth or enjoyment, rather than just victory, extends numerous advantages, which we must not overlook. Intrinsic versus competitive motivation. Many schools use competition as a primary motivator for students, believing it will inspire them to work harder. Yet, if students learn only to rely on external rewards and comparisons, they lose touch with their intrinsic motivation, the spark that drives them to learn for the sake of learning. Intrinsic motivation fosters creativity and innovation, and doesn't rely on rankings or praise to push students forward. When competition cannot encourage every student, some resort to cheating. Enhancing intrinsic motivation helps reduce cheating and creates more engaged learners, ultimately leading to greater academic success. Dangers of competitive relationships. Sibling rivalry is a natural phenomenon, but it can damage connections within a family, especially when fostered by parents. Competition for approval and affection can turn siblings less generous and more mistrusting of one another. This mindset is not limited to family but extends to romantic and long-term relationships as well. Turning dating and romance into a competition may prevent one from seeing their partner as an individual, instead viewing them as a trophy to be won. Ultimately, entering into a power struggle can lead to infidelity and the unraveling of established relationships. Recognizing the detrimental effects of competition in these situations is essential to fostering healthy connections. The perils of unbridled competition. Sports have evolved from playing fair and building community to an intense focus on winning and competition. This mentality has permeated various aspects of life, with several adverse consequences. Competition can limit cooperation, sharing, and mutual support, as people see others as obstacles to their success, causing them to hold back ideas and avoid helping others. For instance, scientists competing for grants, jobs, and recognition may withhold discoveries, hindering collaboration and slowing scientific progress. Yet, in many situations, cooperative strategies prove beneficial for all parties involved. Through mutual support and idea sharing, individuals expand their knowledge and gain new opportunities, in turn helping others. As an example, collaborating in science, such as Albert Einstein working with mathematician Marcel Grossman, has driven monumental advancements. The following section will delve into how competition negatively impacts the economy. The dark side of competition. Contrary to popular belief, competition in free market economics can have negative consequences. Companies often merge to consolidate power, allowing them to influence prices and gain political sway. This can result in serious issues, such as debt or cost-cutting measures that compromise safety. Furthermore, large corporations may become too big to fail and rely on taxpayer-funded bailouts, promoting risky business behavior. Finally, the competitive drive to lower prices often offloads costs onto society, negatively impacting employees and animal welfare. We typically view competition as a healthy force in free market economies, but it's not always beneficial. Companies strive to grow by acquiring competitors to consolidate influence over prices and political power. However, such expansion can lead to substantial problems. For example, when BP purchased Amoco, Richfield, and Castrol, it incurred massive debt, leading to cost-cutting measures that compromised safety at Texas City Refinery, causing a tragic explosion with significant human casualties. Besides these immediate consequences, there is another outcome with far-reaching implications: the emergence of corporations and banks that become too big to fail. These entities are so intertwined with national economies that their potential collapse obliges governments to step in with substantial financial support. For bankers, this arrangement is a boon, as it allows for riskier investments knowing that they'll receive government bailout assistance. However, taxpayers ultimately bear the financial burden of rescuing private corporations. One might argue that competition benefits consumers by lowering prices due to price wars. Unfortunately, this does not always hold true. Companies often offload many costs onto society to keep prices low. This approach sometimes results in employees receiving low wages, forcing them to depend on government assistance programs. In other cases, like the meat industry, producers cut prices by skimping on animal welfare, leading to horrific living conditions for livestock. In conclusion, unbridled competition and the pursuit of relentless growth pose dangers to society. These pitfalls manifest through market disruptions, corruption, declining economic health, and a negative impact on employees and animal welfare. However, by identifying these consequences and understanding their causes, we can work towards finding a solution. Embracing collaboration over competition. Competition can be motivating but often harms relationships and productivity. By embracing strategies that promote collaboration, such as implementing employee ownership, establishing horizontal hierarchies, and adopting educational systems that focus on individual progress, we can create healthier and more productive environments in the workplace, schools, and society as a whole. Competition isn't all bad, as it can provide added motivation when used correctly. However, in today's fast-paced world, aggressive competition is often prioritized over productive collaboration, leading to negative consequences in areas like economy, education, and personal life. The good news is that we can choose to change our approach and advocate for collaborative practices. In the corporate landscape, employee ownership and flat hierarchies foster teamwork by aligning everyone's goals and reducing hierarchical barriers. Take W. L. Gore and Associates, the creators of Gore-Tex material, for instance, who utilize a horizontal hierarchy without strict management positions, encouraging employees to collaborate on projects rather than competing for promotions. Education also benefits from promoting collaboration over competition, as seen in Finland's school system. Finnish schools assess students based on individual progress rather than standardized tests or comparisons with classmates, resulting in less competitive pressure and still achieving top-tier rankings in the international PISA survey. By shifting our cultural focus toward collaboration, we can achieve greater results and create healthier, more supportive environments for all.
After a deep dive into Margaret Heffernan's ABiggerPrize, we discover the hidden pitfalls of our competitive culture. As we realize that excessive competition can lead to burnout, unhealthy relationships, and an imbalanced society, alternatives to traditional competitive systems surface. By looking to examples from companies with flat hierarchies and employee ownership, or education systems that prioritize individual growth, we find immense potential for change. In conclusion, while competition can provide motivation, a focus on collaboration will ultimately create a more supportive, efficient, and enriching world for everyone.